The Dallas Stars showed signs of progress, but the losing streak continues. A gut punch in overtime at the hands of the LA Kings. We'll break down an awful 30 seconds in overtime and more next.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Welcome to a Friday edition of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. The Dallas Stars winless streak is now up to 4 games in an overtime loss to the Los Angeles Kings by a final score of 3-2, and one of the most infuriating 35 to 37 seconds of hockey in overtime I have ever seen. And I'm going to start off with that on today's show, but we also have to talk about the positives. The Stars did make some progress tonight. Hopefully that continues, although Thomas Harley has seemed to struggle over the last couple of games. We'll talk about some of his uncharacteristic play over the last couple of weeks as well on today's show as we kick you off into your weekend. As always, thank you so much for joining us today and making us a part of your day. Man, I cannot stand what we just saw in overtime from the Dallas Stars. And we're kicking things off on a negative note. I'm going on my soapbox here because what Miro Heiskanen did is just completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable from a player of his caliber. And it ends up leading to a 2-on-1 for LA, and Kempe buries the overtime winner. But in a contest where Miro was actually phenomenal tonight, number 4 was great, but this play from Miro just cannot happen in overtime. In a game where the Stars struggled to win faceoffs, they were 40% in the game. Byfield had Roope Hintz's number. The Stars started overtime with Miro, Rantanen, and Hintz. Of course, a fine trio to trot out there. Roope Hintz worked hard to win that faceoff, worked really hard. And we know how important possession is in 3-on-3 overtime. But he wins it back. Miro did not like the initial look. He circles back, and then he flies in, and he goes right past 2 Kings. I'm not upset about that. He's using his speed. The Kings were allowing him to just skate freely, and he took the ice that was in front of him. Then he was being defended by Drew Doughty, one-on-one. Still, that's okay. Maybe you turn on the Jets, turn the corner, see if you can get around Doughty, but instead from the right circle, he tries to go against the grain as a left shot to beat Kuemper, and it's forced wide off the stick of Doughty, or he just completely missed. And it just gave up possession. I can't stand shots like that in overtime. How many times is Miro going to beat a netminder from there? Look, hindsight's 20/20, but it's just a real careless shot, in my opinion. That can't happen in 3-on-3. You can't give away possession that easily, or you at least got to hit the net. You can't plant it off the glass. And then the Stars didn't defend it well either. On the other side of things, it looked like LA had given the puck away. Rantanen, he got bodied by Kempe, and then Byfield ends up lifting the stick of Roope Hintz, and then Harley was defending the 2-on-1. Look, he's in a bad position. I don't put a lot of blame on Harley, but you can't allow that pass either. I mean, 2 of the Stars' best defensemen, the 2 best Stars defensemen, made some just really boneheaded plays in overtime. I can't stand the shot from Miro. Immediately when he went to line up and I knew he was about to fire it, I said, I put my head in my face. I said, or my hand in my face, my head in my face. Imagine it's about how I feel, anyways. You can't take that shot, especially against the grain. Look, if he hits the net, we're having a different story. But I am so frustrated watching that. And again, it's one shift in a game that was positive, but it ends up costing you a point. It ends up costing you an extra point in a game where you feel like you actually deserve to win this one and take a full 2 points, but it comes back the other way, and the pass gets made across from Byfield to Kempe, and it's in the back of your net. Oh, that just grinds my gears, that shot from Miro. I'm sorry. You can't take a careless shot like that. Cycle back, or at least try to take it to the net. If anything, try to drive the net. He's got to step on Doughty. He was flying in. I don't have an issue with taking the rush. It's the shot. When you got Rantanen and Hintz on the ice, that was a really important possession for Dallas that they, had to work hard to get. And it ends up costing them. So anyways, it's a mini rant because that one just kind of grinded my gears, as you can tell. But the Stars are at a point, and we saw a lot of what Dallas has to be for the most part moving forward with some of the injuries that they have. They had a lot of ingredients to it tonight. The big boys stepped up. Johnston was amazing. Robertson was great. They both pick up a goal, a couple of power play goals for Dallas. But outside of the overtime, the Stars had a chance to win it in regulation. They had a power play late. They weren't able to muster up. I don't think they ended up with a shot on that final power play of the game. And that was following the Wyatt Johnston power play goal to tie the game at 2. And then late in regulation, Kempe trips up Mikko Rantanen. The Stars get an opportunity to win the game right there, essentially. And I don't think they muster up a shot on the power play. I need to go back and see, but I don't think they muster up a shot on that final power play of regulation. And they end up having to fight it out and duke it out in 3-on-3. But overall, a good game from Dallas, right? They outshot LA 31-25. We came into the game, I said, I think they will be able to handle the Kings at 5-on-5 for the most part. And they outshot them 22-18 at 5-on-5. We saw a lot of good things. They created much more, still not enough in the third period. That has been a trend. It feels like the third period, they seem to get standoffish and passive. But the second period was great. They were humming. They were making plays. And, of course, Cody Ceci scores a goal off a weird deflection. LA thought they had taken the lead late in the frame, but it was a high stick. That took forever to end up getting a call. I did a rant on this last year. I think it was in the postseason. Someone has to go find it. But I saw a lot of commentary on Dave Jackson, the ESPN ref analyst, because essentially he just agrees with whatever the refs call on the ice. I don't understand. I did a huge rant on this, but it was something of the nature of, why do these guys get paid so much to just say absolutely nothing? They add no benefit to the broadcast. And I think I went into, at some point in 10 years down the line, when we stop putting these, refs on the broadcast, we're going to be thinking back to ourselves, like, why did we ever do that? They had nothing to the game. They just agree with whatever is said on the ice, on the field. Someone go find that. It was a good one. I was fired up. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was in the postseason last year, based off the high sticking goal that was called off for Dallas. And I thought it was pretty clear. Good. Again, like, some of the camera angles are not perfect, but his stick was higher than the crossbar, it appeared. But man, that's it's a gut punch. but it's better, right? There's positives. We're going to get into that. But the 3-on-3 overtime, it's 37 seconds, but man, it leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. Let's talk about the positives, okay? We're getting into the positives. We're going to keep that going. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Wyatt. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Wyatt comes in. Wyatt.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Wyatt makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. That process is fast, simple, and private. It's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back into the moments that matter. Visit Wyatt.com/lockedon to get 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com. Wyatt.com/lockedonnhl. Don't forget to use the code LOCKEDONNHL so they know we sent you. Wyatt, stop making excuses. Start making moves. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Game Time allows you to grab seats because you can see the view from your seat before you buy it, and you can do it in minutes. You just tap, boom, bada bing, you got your ticket. You're going to the ball game. You're going to the hockey game. You're going to the soccer game. You name it. Zone Deals also is awesome. You can pick the section. Game Time picks your seats. You can find NHL tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKED, own NHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and enjoy. Switching to the positives here in this segment of Locked On Stars. As always, thank you so much for the love and support. Drop a comment below how you feel after this one. I don't want to be too Debbie Downer. The overtime period, look, it was it was whatever, but better, right? More of what we want to see from the Stars in that first period, especially. They were in control. Thought there was a semblance of a forecheck, and they were out shooting the Kings 8-2 up until they got into a little penalty trouble. And then you, of course, have the bad call for high sticking on Lyubushkin, which leads to the 5-on-3. Perry certainly sold it. Deserves an Oscar for the performance. And it puts LA on the 5-on-3, which, of course, is tough. And the Stars surrender the Corey Perry goal. That's one Otter. He needs to control the rebound a bit better. And Perry was right there to just smack it home. But that was a solid period to open up the night, really all over LA for the most part. You know, the top six was awesome tonight. You know, for as much as I've criticized Sam Steele lately, I thought he had a strong game. He looked comfortable. You know, Mikko, Rope, I mean, Johnston is just flying around. Johnston's got 5 goals on the season. I mean, he's quietly been incredible. Hence, and Rantanen on the power play. The Stars have moved the puck around beautifully on the man advantage. They go 2 for 5 tonight, man. You just wish they would have potted home one more. And we would be talking about a whole different result here tonight. But much better at 5-on-5. And you can look at some of the shots for, shots against the Hintz line. 5 shots for, 1 against. Robo has put it upon himself to just really be a factor in all 3 zones. I think he's been really strong along the walls. He's helped out defensively. There's still points where Dallas is struggling in their own zone. There's a couple plays late where they just cough up pucks by essentially just passing the puck to the Kings, which allow them extended zone time and too much pressure on Otter and company. The Kings did a really good job of getting bodies in front of Otter, I thought, tonight. They had a couple deflections, which led to some issues in front. But for the most part, Stars did a better job of clearing out of some of those dangerous areas. So that is good. I'm also curious if Dallas starts to play a bit more north-south. We talked about how they sort of want to hang on to pucks more in the defensive zone. You can see that they're trying to make plays instead of just worrying about getting the puck out. Remember, over the last few years, like the Stars would just flip pucks out at will. They would kind of flip and go after it. I wonder if they start working that into their game a bit more, because their decor has just essentially just passed the puck away a bit too much. And that's, I think, hurt some of the Stars forecheck in what they can do offensively, right? It just limits you when you spend a lot of time in your zone. But they were better tonight. They were cleaner on their breakouts, right? They were able to move with some speed and use that to their advantage off the rush. Before the CC goal, Stars had a couple of tasty looks. Just felt like they were going to take the lead, and then boom, CC off a really tough deflection off of Bork finds the back of the net. But we're seeing really, really good games from Robo consistently. Johnston, Sagan should be thrown in there. Like, those are the guys the Stars have to rely on right now. As Duchesne missed another game, Stars are winless now without him in the lineup. I mentioned how much that hurt. Miro looked like Miro tonight. That was awesome. He was flying around, making things happen offensively. He was engaged. That was great to see. Rope picks up a couple of helpers. We're seeing all the good stuff from good players, which Dallas, of course, has to have right now, because the margins for them are a bit slim trying to implement all this newness, all the change. And sometimes you got to just outscore your way through it. And Dallas was better in that. They gave up another power play goal. It's 5-on-3. Sometimes you just have to suffer those. But they go 2 for 3 tonight. They won the special teams battle essentially, but it was another chance where if you get one late, you're able to take that win. But back to what is good. Progress for Dallas. We need to see more of that now moving forward. And this is a game where you probably deserved better. And I'm curious if we go to the money puck odds and you look at the deserved winner, maybe it was close 50-50. No, it's actually has it about 80% for Dallas deserved to win. So, it's one of those ones where it kind of evens out, right? Think about what Golson said at the press conference after the Stars win against Colorado in overtime, or Colorado in a shootout. He said, yeah, it's one we shouldn't have won, but these things seem to even out. Well, here you go. They got that one in the game they didn't deserve to win, and they lose here. And that's how she goes. But there's still a lot of room for improvement. And there's some plays that just, like, what? from guys that you expect to make big plays. Positives on some numbers. Robo played 24 minutes tonight. Johnston played 24. Rantanen 21. I like to see that. Bork was up to 16:55. But that's good stuff. Look at this for Miro. And this is why I hate to do this, because I kind of poo-pooed on him in the opening segment, but 14 scoring chances for 0 against tonight in regulation. Like, that's awesome stuff. Like, he was great. unfortunately, it's the play that kind of leaves a lasting effect on me. It sucks, but like that's good stuff, right? That's more like it. Ideally the Stars are going to win a lot of games. Doing that more. Rantanen, he's so fun to watch. He just goes about his business. Got 5 assists now on the season. And again, I feel that Stars are going to be in decent shape. I really do. It's we're 7 games in. They're going to find it. They're going to get on track. I believe it. Maybe it's not going to reach the heights that we're hoping, but I just think the Stars have too many good players to continue to be in a funk is where I am. So I'm going to try to keep it positive, keep it light here. And can you continue to kind of try to pump the tires a bit to get them going. Since there's stretches, right? We've seen it really in even some of the awful games. They have periods, they have like long stretches, like, okay, here we go. Like they're stacking shifts. And they got to find a way to do that longer. And bury chances too. It was a night sort of a missed opportunities to some degree for Dallas. Let's talk about Harley a bit. He's been a hot topic. I think Miro has been as well, which we touched on earlier in the week, but talk about some of his struggles and maybe what's going on with him in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel has so many ways for you to play. They got parlays, player props, even follow the live lines during the games. It makes watching football even more exciting on the weekends when you got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. FanDuel is the place to be. Bet $5. If you hit, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. The last 2 games in particular have been an adventure for Thomas Harley, and I'll take a perspective that I had on Miro from a couple of days ago. Since we have such high expectations of Miro and now Harley after what we saw from last year. And again, I'm not here to pretend that Harley was some kind of god tonight, but for the most part, he did some good things, but it's those mistakes that have turned costly that, of course, come to the forefront. And we saw that on CeCe's goal, right, where Kempe dumps a puck in. Harley goes back to retrieve it. He gets sandwiched by a couple of Kings, and he sort of just overskates the puck behind the net, and the Kings jump on it, and it leads to the CeCe goal. And we've seen that almost alarmingly more than it feels like we've seen in the past. Although you go back to last year, there was some moments. I remember there were some plays that led to some goals that, of course, Harley would like to come back. But he did so many other things that sometimes you just forget. And I think right now everything is being exacerbated. It's early. And the issues defensively for the Stars as a whole have just been scrutinized a ton. Again, I'm not here to tell you that Harley is playing great. He has to be better. But I find that he is going to figure it out. Like he's finding it a bit. I think he is. And for whatever reason, mentally, is it the Olympics? I don't know. He was sick a few days. Is there still lingering effects to that? Maybe he just doesn't feel 100%, whether it's a stuffy nose, right, sore throat, anything. If you're just not feeling 100%, maybe that could be it. He's just playing through something where he's not exactly 100%. Maybe he's a bit foggy, right? I don't know. I'm just trying to pinpoint where maybe some of the issues have come. But players like him, and Miro, of course, just a couple days ago, right? I said, like, he's fine. Honestly, I thought some of it was just unwarranted for Miro, to be completely honest. After, I mean, from what I saw, but they're going to play through it, and these guys are too good to struggle this long. You know, Miro seemed to, be back to himself. He's flying around, making plays, and doing good things. And Harley, I have no doubt in my mind, will get there. Start off the year really good, but now he's being thrown back with Labushkin, which should be comfortable. But there is a new system. I'm not a huge fan as we're going on. Like, I feel like the Stars are way too passive in their own zone. I'm curious if y'all feel the same way, because I think there's opportunities for Dallas to just kill plays, and they seem to almost back away. They're allowing teams to play with the puck on the perimeter, which is fine, but sometimes there's just no resistance. It's like they allow them to have possession without really any sort of pressure at points, and they just allow teams to sort of run around, which is okay, but eventually that puck somehow gets funneled on net, and I think they need to kill plays a bit quicker. At least and maybe some of it, again, like from the last couple of years, I know I'm saying that a lot, but last couple of years, like, Stars they attacked, right? They attacked, they killed, and they got the puck out. So they are going through some changes. Maybe that's not exactly, maybe what we're seeing is not the plan, not the game plan. They're still trying to figure that out some. But yeah, I mean, like Harley wasn't awesome tonight, and again, it's up and down. There's been huge plans or huge plays here. You look at his numbers, and overall, like, they're not awful. 15-2 chances against when he's on the ice, high danger 8-1, shots on goal 14-8, right? Like, and that's where, like, maybe the eye test doesn't always line up, but I think it sort of goes back to the point I'm trying to make. Like, I don't think it's as awful as it really seems, because they're really scrutinizing the Stars defensively. We're seeing a lot. And if Dallas wins that game, like, we're not even talking about it, right? and that's what winning does, right? It solves everything. But instead, he doesn't come up with that puck behind the net. It gets worked out in front, and then boom, it goes off a body and in. So he's going to be fine, right? He's going to be fine. I'm going to pump the brakes on just going, like, some of the stuff I've seen, I feel like is bonkers. What Harley and Miro the last week and a half or so. And I'm going to say it again. I'm not here to argue they have been fantastic, but let's just realize who we have here. Maybe been a bit spoiled. Everybody's getting worn back up. The engines are getting revved again. They're going to figure it out. They're going to be in midseason form here soon enough. But they have to do it quickly, as Goldson said on yesterday's episode. They got to find it quickly, and that could be a challenge. So that's just some of my thoughts on Harley. I've showed Miro grace, right? I got to share some grace for Mr. Harley as well. So, all righty, Stars fans, that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Stars. Thank you for loving sport. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. By the way, I did want to sort of just throw out there for those of you that may be in Texas or ever visit Corpus Christi. I've said this before, but some of you that may be new, I am the play-by-play voice for the Corpus Christi Ice Race and the North American Hockey League. And a couple of you guys, wonderful listeners, actually came and said hi to me last weekend during one of our home series. here, which is really cool. And I really appreciate that. Everybody has shared nothing but kind words. No one has yelled at me and said I suck yet. So all my interactions have been very positive with you. I would love for y'all to reach out if you ever would like to go to a game down here. Please let me know. You can email me at Erickson, just like the name spelled right there, Erickson at goicerace.com. Put that out there. If you want to get some tickets, love to have anybody out. I can leave you some. Come to a game, enjoy some hockey. It's a lot of fun. It encourage that. So if you do reach out, it's there. It's there. I'll kind of continue to throw it out there a little bit. I know I'm plugging this at the very end. So those of you that maybe stayed the entire 30 minutes may get a treat. But if you ever happen to just visit, maybe there's a game in town, I would love to have you out at the arena. And maybe come say hi and just enjoy some hockey. So just wanted to throw that out there. Or you can find me on Twitter, DMs or whatever on Locked On Stars. That's always cool too. Anyways, Stars fans, have a great day. Another tough one, but progress. See you tomorrow. See you on the next episode, I should say. Enjoy your weekend. And we'll see you on the next one. So long, Stars fans.